Have you ever looked at a decision from your city council and just completely scratched your head? One minute they're all about fiscal discipline and cutting costs, and the next they're launching some ambitious new community program. It can feel like they're sending some seriously mixed signals.
Right? It's a really common frustration. It kind of feels like they're trying to drive with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. Why push for efficiency and budget cuts, but then also try to expand services that, cost money? It can seem totally contradictory.
But what if I told you they're not necessarily confused? The reality is they're operating under this immense pressure from three competing philosophies. Three different rule books, all telling them what good government is supposed to look like. So today, we're going to unpack these three rule books to finally understand why our cities act the way they do.
All right, let's dive into the first and, the oldest rule book in the game. This is the foundation of public administration, and its whole philosophy is super simple. Order, rules, and doing things exactly by the book.
Think of traditional public administration, or TPA, as the original old-school city administrator. This model is built on a really clear hierarchy, like a pyramid. Its main goal isn't to be fast or creative, but to be correct. Every single permit, every form, every expense has to follow the established process to the absolute letter. No exceptions.
This slide really gets to the heart of what TPA is all about. It's all about control from the top down and super strict compliance with the rules. Budgets are controlled line by line. You can spend this much on paperclips, this much on salaries, period. And accountability, it just means asking one simple question. Did we follow the procedure? It's formal, it's predictable, and as you can probably guess, it is incredibly resistant to change.
Okay, so now let's see how the next rulebook tried to completely shake things up. Around the 1980s or so, this new idea started to take hold. What if we could run government more like a business?
And this is where new public management, or NPM, comes in. This is the efficiency expert, the consultant brought in to trim the fat. NPM looks at that old, rigid TPA model and says, hey, we can do this faster, we can do it cheaper, and we can do it better. The focus shifts away from just following rules to actually getting results. And the absolute core principle of NPM is measurement. This way of thinking brings in performance metrics for pretty much everything. The motto is basically, if you can measure it, like say the number of potholes filled per day, then you can manage it and make it more efficient. This also ushered in ideas like outsourcing city services to private companies, all in the name of driving down costs and boosting that bottom line.
But here's the thing. Running a city isn't just about balancing a budget or filling potholes as efficiently as possible, right? A third rulebook came along that argued we were kind of missing the entire point, the people.
So, welcome to New Public Governance, or NPG. This is the community collaborator. NPG says, hold on a second. Government isn't a machine or a business, it's a network. Its goal isn't just to provide services efficiently, but to work with citizens, with nonprofits, with everybody, to create real long-term public value.
This slide just perfectly illustrates that massive change in thinking. NPG isn't happy with just counting the outputs, like how many clinics we built. It starts asking about the outcomes. Did building those clinics actually improve public health in our community? It champions these amazing ideas like participatory budgeting, where citizens get a direct say in how their tax money is spent. Okay, so let's get to the core of the problem. You'd think these rulebooks would just replace each other in a nice, neat line, right? TPA, then NPM, then NPG, but that's not what happened at all. Instead, they got layered on top of each other, creating what some experts call a sedimentation of competing and often conflicting ideas. And this creates a huge clash. The first two rulebooks, TPA and NPM, they are obsessed with financial accountability. Did we stick to the budget? Were we efficient? Did we save money? But the newest rulebook, NPG, it asks a totally different question. Did our actions actually improve people's lives? Did we create a more sustainable, a more equitable community for everyone?
You can see the conflict so clearly on this slide. TPA asks if it was legal, NPM asks if it was cheap, and NPG asks if it actually created value. And look at the accounting styles. TPA is just tracking cash in and out, while the other two are trying to get a much bigger picture of long-term financial health. Your city's finance department is literally trying to answer all three of these questions at the same time, using different tools for each one. It's really no wonder their decisions can seem so inconsistent.
This is a perfect example of the confusion. Ask a simple question like, are the city's finances healthy? And you can get 4 totally different answers. The TPA rulebook is mainly worried about right here, right now. Can we pay today's bills? Is this year's budget balanced? But the NPM and NPG rulebooks are looking to the future. They're asking, can we afford our pensions down the road, and can we actually provide the level of services that people need and expect?
And this is the constant tug-of-war that's always happening. A decision that looks great for this year's budget, like, say, putting off road repairs, might be a total disaster for long-term sustainability and cost way more down the line. Your local government is perpetually caught right in the middle of this exact conflict.
And it's not just about money. It's about responsibility. Under the old TPA system, it was simple. The government was in charge, the government was responsible. But then NPM brought in private contractors, and NPG encourages all these partnerships with community groups. So when a service fails, who do you actually hold accountable? The lines have become incredibly blurred.
So what on earth is a solution when you're being pulled in 3 different directions at once? Well, the answer isn't to just pick one rulebook and throw the others away.
The real path forward is all about integration. It's about creating a system that acknowledges all 3 of these pressures are real and they're all valid. We need the procedural correctness of TPA, we need the efficiency drive of NPM, and we absolutely need the community focus of NPG. And we need them all to work together.
And the academic paper that inspired this whole explainer puts it perfectly. The goal is to reconcile these competing demands. In other words, an effective modern government has to be both financially sound and socially responsible. It's not an either-or.
So here's the big takeaway. The next time a decision from City Hall makes you pause and go, ask yourself this one question. Which rulebook are they reading from right now? Is it the old-school book of procedure, the business-like book of efficiency, or is it the community-focused book of public value? More often than not, you'll find they're desperately trying to read from all 3 at once. And understanding that conflict, well, that's the first step to making sense of it all.